We're now going to describe the boost function. With conventional amplifiers, the target's boosted, but the downside, you also bring up all the background noise. With the new technology incorporated in the GP3000, we've been able to reduce the background, and this is carried out by the machine taking a sample every 10 seconds of the ground mineralisation and filtering out the targets as a separate signal. So this setting is very important in working the ground, and there are 3 settings: normal, shallow and deep. With the shallow setting, we're obviously looking for shallow ground, and this is a great example. We have the exposed bedrock and the thin layer of clay and gravel, probably 10 inches thick, that we're looking for those little nuggets that are just tucked in between the bedrock. When working in deep, we boost those very small nuggets very deeply, and also the large nuggets right on the fringes of our detector depth. If you have a look at the stump, this illustrates how erosion has pulled the material, exposing the roots, and shows the depth of material we're dealing here. And what we're interested in is detecting this original surface, and we know here that we've got 2 to 3 feet of material to work. But just remember that with the boost function, normal actually switches off any enhancing mode. The soil setting's easy to understand. The 3 settings, sensitive, normal and salt, allow us to work these separate environments. In normal, we're looking at average mineralisation, average depth and size of target, and that's what we'll be using most of the time. Sensitive is used where we know that we've got shallow gravels and we want to pick up those little nuggets. Sensitive's also very good in highly mineralised conditions. We lose a bit of depth, but we help even out the mineralisation and amplify those small targets. And we've all worked in salty areas down next to salt lakes, and you find that it's more and more difficult to ground balance your detector. Once you flick into salt, the detector evens out. We know that we can do the fringes, but we can even walk out on the salt areas that were almost impossible to work in the past. If you listen to the target signal from a GP3000, it is normally a 2-tone signal. Depending on the size and depth of the target, it will often start high, then drop to a low pitch. The amount of variance in the signal can be controlled with the signal control. If you like a relatively even tone, the knob should be kept at the anti-clockwise position. If you like a big tone variance, then turn the knob more clockwise. However, be aware that in highly mineralised ground, where you are getting constant ground noises, turning the knob clockwise will increase threshold instability, so a lower setting is preferred. The GP3000 has the ability to change the search pattern of its coils just by flicking a switch. To start with, let's look at how the standard double D coil works. The standard double D coil has 2 independent windings. The left-hand winding transmits the electromagnetic field and the right-hand winding receives. The search pattern of a standard double D will look like this. A straight blade running through the centre of the coil from toe to heel and down into the ground. The advantages of the double D search pattern are very thorough ground coverage and easy pinpointing. When the coil switch is in the mono position, the left-hand winding transmits, but then switches to momentarily receive, in phase with the right-hand winding. This creates a pseudo-mono-loop pattern, which gives better sensitivity but a more cone-shaped pattern. The pinpoint position is now tilted to the left-hand side of the coil. The third configuration of the coil switch is cancel. This works similar to mono, but takes the two windings out of phase so that the detector's computer can subtract its signal from the right-hand winding. The effect of this is to cut out outside interference, which is too great for the tuning control. Cancel mode does cause a noticeable reduction in depth, but often will allow you to detect areas under power lines or close to interference that you normally wouldn't be able to search. It should also be noted that the coil switch is made to work in combination with Minelab specially wound double D coils. Other coils may not give the same results. Remember, your search technique is just as important as mastering your new GP3000. It's a nice even swing, keeping the coil parallel to the ground. It's just backwards and forwards, and your forward motion, you can see the samples of quartz, back over with the leading edge of the coil, then the centre and the back. And if you're achieving that sort of forward motion, that's perfect. And when you're working around obstacles as tree stumps or shrubbery, just remember which coil you're using. I've got a double D on, and if I come into the side of that butt of the tree stump, I'm not actually going to detect right up against the stump. However, if I use the leading edge, which is very, very sensitive with a double D, I'll cover all the ground around that obstacle. We continue the search, and I'm just concentrating for that faint target. But remember, keep the coil on the ground. That's something. You've got to try and get in there. The first thing you do, I've got a distinct signal. I've gone in. It's persisting in both directions. First thing I do is just simply clear a pad, probably 12 inches square, and back over the target. It's persisting, so I've definitely got a target in the ground. If I'd swept over with my foot and got a bit of surface trash, it'd be kicked well away. But we know we've got a target. First thing you do, put your detector out of the swing range of your digger, and we just use the broad edge of the digger and simply scrape the surface soil off. Then I repeat the procedure. I've got the target in that direction, it's still there. Just draw an imaginary line. I'm going through the pinpointing process, coming back in at 90 degrees with the leading edge. I'm picking up the signal, another cross, and I know that the target is just below us here. So what I do now is, now that we've got a definite, I can be a little bit more vigorous with my digging and make sure that you work around the edge of the signal. Don't go building away at the middle of the signal, because whatever it is, you may damage it. Back over the hole, it's still there. I'll simply scoop that out. We're in hard, compacted ground here, and the ground looks good. It's nice and rubbly. And again, over the target. Do you notice the signal's getting more intense? It's getting louder, so we're getting down closer. I move around again and repeat the procedure. You pick out of range. That sounds good. Now the whole idea is have a sloped edge hole until you're sure it's a target. It's still in the hole. Gee, this is tight gravel. Again, I'm working around the edge of the hole. Careful not to get the blade of the pick right in the centre. Pulling out. Repeat the procedure. It's no longer in the hole, so we've got the target out. What we do then, back into the detecting position, get the digger out of range, and quietly come in over your spoils heap. And see, I've just picked up the signal with my leading edge. All I do then, with the coil away, is just simply pick up. The target's still there. This takes a bit of doing actually, but just continue. Nice and intense. I've got the target. Now simply kneel down, flatten your coil out, and I half hand it. I've got the little object. Nothing in that one. And then the final, I just dribble down. And then I just draw a little imaginary line. And that's what we're looking for. And it's the colour we want too. A beautiful little nugget, and that's what makes this hobby so exciting. Just remember though, we've got to fill our holes in. We want to leave the bush as we found it. Well, that concludes Minelab's instructional video, and I'm sure if you follow our tips, read the user's manual and really spend time familiarising yourself with your machine, you'll be soon out there finding gold, like the little bit we turned up. And I certainly look forward to meeting you on the goldfield shortly.
To look at these or any of the other high-quality Minelab detectors, we encourage you to visit our website at www.minelab.com or www.minelab.com.au. Join Doug Stone and Gold Expeditions for a unique tour into the Australian outback in a way that few have experienced. The unique combination of instruction and guidance on these tours will help you to use your metal detector in the field. You'll also be led to some of the most interesting gold and gem fields in the world. Gold Expeditions can drive you in modern four-wheel drive transport, supplying all your camping gear, prospecting equipment and meals. If you've got your own four-wheel drive and supplies, you can also tag along. Expeditions run to Victoria's Golden Triangle and Western Australia's remote goldfields, while trips to the Northern Territory offer both gold prospecting and gemstone fossicking. For more information or to make a booking, contact Gold Expeditions, PO Box 866, Shepparton, Victoria 3632, Australia. Or you can phone 03 5790 5226. And if you're phoning from overseas, you can call 613 5790 5226. And don't forget to check out our website at www.goldexpeditions.com.au.